Let's talk about Islam. We'll start with women and Islam because for some reason this topic is very famous. I read somewhere that women defending Islam is like chickens defending KFC, and I had a laugh about it. But then I researched a little bit. I read something here and there, and what I came across was multiple factors as to why people say this. Now I'm talking to women now. Ladies, tell me this. Muslim ladies, you are aware of the fact that your husband, along with you, is allowed to have three more wives. And without you ever having to know about it, your husband can get married to three more women. You are aware of the fact, and yet you defend this system that you call religion. Along with four wives that your husband already has, he has an access to an unlimited number of concubines or sex slaves. Yeah, surprise. Islam not just legitimizes sex slavery, it has institutionalized this particular evil, I would say. He has an unlimited access to unlimited number of sex slaves, yes. And then in the four wives that he has, any one of them can be a child, or maybe all of them can be child, because Islam, for all practical purposes, allows child marriage. There is no age cap, at least religiously there is no age cap to child marriage. This is very disturbing. This is actually very, very disturbing. You see, Muslim countries, hardcore Muslim countries, they have no age cap to when a girl can legally marry. And when you see such a practice prevalent in any of the country, in any of the societal systems, what you witness is that children who are married off to elderly men in their 40s and 50s, they die on their wedding day suffering from torture, injuries that are foreseeable. I read news of a 8-year-old girl child who died on her wedding day suffering from internal injuries after being, I won't say after the consummation of the marriage, I would say it was a rape, because 8-year-old girl child has no understanding of consent to sex. It was a rape. After suffering from rape, that 8-year-old girl child died. Now, the man who committed that atrocity is practically immune to all forms of criticism, because the religion that he practices gives him that immunity. That religion gave him the immunity, and not just the immunity, it actually gave him the motivation to practice it. Because let's face it, this particular practice was, in one form or another, was practiced in practically all parts of the world. But child marriage was not practiced with this age gap. You see, marrying children is one thing. An elderly person marrying a children is pure evil, is what I think. So with time, most countries have abolished this practice, but Muslim countries adhering to their dear Sharia law have not. And that is why whenever we read news reports like this, they all come from one particular denomination, one particular community, countries that practice one particular religion, and that is not very surprisingly Islam. So these are some things that Islam openly practices that are not just, these are appalling. As a woman, I would have found them appalling. You are being called half as intelligent as man, you have unequal inheritance, and there are so many things. I can go on and on and on. But every time whenever someone's comes up with their problems against Islam, Muslim apologists have this theories of context, of interpretation, and this, that. Let's just face it, the way it is being practiced, I have no room for doubt. I don't want to get into the interpretation or context. I will just judge them on what I see. It's not like I can see such practices being happening in one part or some groups practicing it. All Muslim countries, all Muslims, if they don't condemn it, if they don't practice it, at least they will not condemn it. You see, Muslim extremists will practice it, and Muslim moderates will justify it. This is how it has been. This is how I find it in mainstream media. And then when it comes to Muslim communities, almost all fun things are banned: dancing, music, painting, idol worship. I find idol worship very entertaining. Not just entertaining, there's a certain sense of devotion, faith, many things that comes with idol worship. It's not just, if it was stupid, it wouldn't have been practiced by so many people for so many millenniums. It's not like someone started it a few years ago. My street temples, I have temples in streets in India older than most Abrahamic religions. So it's not like idol worship is something that has no relevance or no sense to it, and it is practically banned in Islam. So I don't think there are many fun elements in intrinsic to Islam. And then you have death penalty for apostasy, homosexuality, blasphemy. And blasphemy is something that is subjective, very subjective. It is subjective to interpretation. I think something is blasphemous. I can kill the other person in the name of Islam, and I am practically immune to every kind of criticism, every kind of capital punishment or state law, anything, because this is what my religion obliges me to do, and I did it. So there is no concrete definition of what blasphemy is. I can just go on killing people. What actually Pakistan does, Iranians do, Iraqis do, Syrians do, and then the Islamic theological views for other communities, people of other faiths, for idol worshippers, people. And I heard many Islamic scholars saying that idol worshippers are called the worst of creatures in Islamic theological texts. They're the worst of creatures. Believing woman is better than a non-believing woman and stuff like that. There is open insult and maybe a threat to Jews, to idol worshippers, to anyone who commits shirk, which is associating anyone else with Allah, praying to someone else, saying that someone else is the creator or someone else is the creator along with Allah. This is shirk, and this is punishable by death. Shirk is, tell you something, shirk, I read somewhere, is the worst sin, something that cannot be forgiven under any circumstances. You can rape a small girl, you'll be forgiven. You can murder, butcher, cut, kill anyone, you'll be forgiven. But the moment you as much as say that maybe someone other than Allah could also be God, you're committing a shirk, and that is unforgivable. Yeah, so much so for peace. It's how ironic is it to say that Islam is the religion of peace. Then let's forget all the theological things and text and scriptures and literature. Let's look at the reality. You see around people beheading their fellow humans in the name of religion, in the name of their so-called God, in the name, and then terrorism is a very real aspect of Islam. Just Google most famous religious terrorist groups, and all of them, without fail, all of them, top 10, 20, whatever, are Islamic terrorist groups. And people will come together for any cause that is Islamic, but I've never seen them come together against something they would actually say that it's un-Islamic, which are the terrorist groups. I've seen Muslim apologists say that we don't approve of these terrorist groups. But I've never seen you protesting against any of these. Yeah, like Jaish-e-Mohammed is using the name of your beloved prophet. I've never seen Muslim people coming together and protesting against the use of this name to run a terrorist group. I've seen Muslims coming together for Gaza, for Kashmir, for anything. But they won't come together against these evils that are happening in the name of Islam. This is not very surprising. And then I, as a Hindu, would be called not just an idol worshipper, but a polytheist. And polytheists, as I told you, are the worst of creatures in the eyes of Islam. So I'm hated by Islamic scriptures and devout Muslims. I think Jews are hated. Anyone who dances, sings, paints will be hated by a good Muslim. Anyone who has different ideals, who has different views pertaining to women than Islam, if I think in liberality, if I think women should be free, if I say anything against polygamy, I will be hated. So keeping all these things in mind, do I think that Islamophobia makes sense? Yes, I think. Do I think, yes, Islamophobia is a very real, very positive thing, a very positive, very real concept. But does it make sense? Yes, it does. Having gone through all of this data, seeing everything that is happening, like I come from India, my nation has literally been cut, bled. Genocides have happened in my country. More than half of geographical land has been taken, has been captured by Muslim fanatics in the name of Islam. So my country has suffered a lot. The things that were supposed to be my inheritance were taken from me, my temples, all the scriptures that were burned by Muslim invaders from Turkey and Uzbekistan. I have absolutely no qualms in admitting that Islamophobia makes sense to me. Then again, people say not all Muslims are terrorists, but why all terrorists are Muslims? This is an age-old debate, and I don't see getting an answer to it. And I don't expect all the Muslims to understand the reality very soon. But there's a research that says that by 2070, majority religion in the world would be Islam, and this concerns me because every time Muslim population has increased in significant in number, even in small pockets, if Muslims have become the majority, the minority will suffer. So on a global level, if Muslims become the majority, as per the research that it indicates, I think I should be worried, and all non-Muslims should be worried, and I think even Muslims should be worried because another research indicates that Muslims are more of a victim of Muslim terrorism than non-Muslims. So I think everybody has to be a little worried about this disturbing trend that Islam is spreading like wildfire. And I don't know. I just came across this thing called Islamophobia for some time now, and I researched about it. I came through some data, did a little bit of analysis, and I thought people should know. That's why the video. And please don't take whatever I said as the entire truth, as the absolute truth. Do your own research. It's very easy. Just figure out what's going on. Check for their theological claims. Go to Quran.com, or there are so many websites claiming. I think there are most websites that show the Islamic scriptures are true. Refer to Hadith, Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, I think. And I fact checked all these claims, and they actually are true. You can go on around saying that there are context and interpretation aspects to it, but the fact remains that yes, sex slavery is legitimate in Islam. Yes, child marriage is allowed. Yes, polygamy is perfectly halal, which is legal. All these things do bother me, and these things should bother you too.